So hello everyone and welcome to today's webinars on asking the right questions, from market research to prototype. This webinar is brought to you by Teach Men to Fish. We are an educational charity based in the United Kingdom whose mission is to empower young people with the skills that they need to succeed in school, in work and in life. So some of you might already know me. My name is Paola and I'm part of the Teach Men to Fish team. And I've been working on our wonderful educational program, the School Enterprise Challenge, for the last 8 years. The School Enterprise Challenge gives young people the chance to become entrepreneurs whilst still at school. Participants in the program get to plan, set up, and run a real business. And in the process, they learn about businesses, of course, but they also develop a range of life skills such as communication, teamwork, problem solving, and leadership. Here today with me is also my colleague India, and as she wrote on the chat, she's going to be supporting me, answering your questions in the chat and helping out with the activities later on in the breakout rooms. And as we've been saying on all these webinars so far, we really want to make the most of our time together today and for you to get as much as you can out of today's session. That will mean that your participation in the group activities will make all the difference. So we really encourage you to get actively involved on your team's discussion, on your group activities to get the best out of today's webinar. You will notice as well that today's topic is going to dive into a little bit farther into the entrepreneurship and business topics compared to the ones that we've been developing so far. So get ready because it'll be fun. It's intense in terms of content, but we are going to go slowly so you can grasp all the knowledge and then bring it into your students in your classroom. So before we start, we usually share some ground rules for today's session. You'll notice that most of you are on mute, and if you are not, please check that your mic is off. That's mainly because we have a number of people in the room today and it's going to be increasing the number and we cannot all be speaking at the same time. But don't worry, because there'll be plenty of opportunities to interact with other participants and share your thoughts throughout this webinar. At regular points in the webinar, I will be asking you questions, which you can answer via the chat box, or I will invite you as well to turn on your mic and your camera if you like and share your insights with us live. So as we got started, we were asking you to introduce yourself. It'd be great if we get to know each other better. So please continue sharing your name and the country you are in the chat box. For the ones who already did that, let's go with a different question. Probably, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling this afternoon, this evening? We've been talking about the weather before. So how do you feel this afternoon and this evening? How are you coming to this session today? So if you'd like to share in the chat, going to be checking in your name and country if you haven't introduced yourself yet. And if you did that, how are you feeling today? What are you bringing to the session today? Let's have a look at the chat. Oh, we have people from Zimbabwe. Or from South Africa, feeling exhausted, Garima. Oof. Yeah, we can relate with the feeling. But it's only Tuesday, right? Feeling good, feeling excited, feeling great. Amazing. Thank you, Juliana from Romania. Excited and hopeful. Amazing. Who else do we have? Feeling cold, but looking forward to the session. That's the attitude. Amazing. Emmanuel from Uganda. Welcome, Emmanuel. So great to see familiar names and you joining us every 2 weeks on this online session for you. I feel excited, Sureka, thank you. Feeling great and excited. Excited, but the weather is chilly. Yes, we are going to, doesn't matter how the weather is there. We are all excited about today's session, which is amazing. Highly enthusiastic. Amazing and great to be here, says Latif. Thank you, everyone, and don't worry because there'll be lots of more opportunities to interact with other participants and contribute throughout today's session. So let's have a look at what we'll be covering today. The duration of this webinar will be up to 1.5 hours. The overall aim of the webinar is to show you how you can put your brilliant business ideas to the test by getting feedback from potential customers and finding out about the market you will be entering. So the session today will be divided into 3 main sections. The first one will be around prototyping. Then we'll have a look at market research. And the last one will be about competitor analysis. In each section, you will be learning by doing through interactive activities. At the end of the webinar, I'll share with you a link to a survey. When you complete the survey after the webinar, you'll be able to download the certificate of attendance. And I will also share the presentation slides and a list of useful resources with you by email after today's webinar. So don't worry about writing things down. Having said that, keep a notebook or something next to you because you will need it for the group activities. So let's get started. Let's recap on what we covered so far. So on our last webinar, we covered everything about brainstorming brilliant business ideas. If you miss it, you can catch up the replay on the YouTube channel. So once your students come up with a brilliant business idea, you then might be wondering what's next. How can you know if your business idea will work? And how do you go about turning it from a brilliant business idea into a real functioning businesses? Well, that's what today's webinar is all about, from the idea into a real business. So a great place to begin is by creating a prototype of your idea. A prototype is a model. If you are uncomfortable with that word, we can just replace it by a model, a mock-up or early stage sample of a product. As your students are working on their business plan to put their business idea into action, why do you think it would be a good idea for them to create a prototype? What would be the benefits of creating a prototype of your business idea? I'm going to invite you to share your answers in the chat. Why do you think it's important for your students to develop a prototype, a model of their idea before they start working on their business plan? I'm going to allow a few minutes. As we said at the beginning, we like these sessions to be interactive. It's not just me talking all the time and boring you, but for you to be part of this as well. Why do you think a prototype is important before jumping into the business plan stage? Going to check the chat. Divya says it gives a scope for improvisation. Thank you, Divya. Sinat says you have to start somewhere. It's an early draft. Exactly. Thank you, Sinat. Foy is saying it gives an idea of what the finished product will look like. Yes. They might discover weaknesses or what does not work for the business idea, Juliana adds. So that they have a goal, Brinda says. Sila is a concrete model to share with others. Great, thank you, Sila. Foy is adding also it will give them advice that it can be done. Amazing, yeah, definitely. Really, really good points. So thank you everyone for sharing. And yeah, you have really great reasons already. At Teach Men to Fish, we believe that prototyping is a valuable step in the business planning process because it gives you the chance to fail quickly and inexpensively and learn from mistakes. If your students create some quick, cheap prototypes of their product or find problems with the way they are designed, they can adapt the design of the prototype until it works well before having invested lots of time and money in the real thing. So fail quickly and inexpensively. Another reason we believe this works is because it helps you to communicate your business idea in an understandable way. It's much easier to get feedback from potential customers when they can see, touch, and feel what your product might look like. And I think one of you said that already in the chat. Another reason, you can test different possibilities, different materials, sizes, and colors, and find out which one might work best or is the most popular. And the last one, overall, you can learn far more than you could by just thinking and talking about the idea, because prototypes help you to see how things will work in real life, not just in theory. So if we are clear about the importance of prototyping and what kind of doors will open for us when we plan a business, how do you create a prototype then? The good news is that you don't need to use or you don't need to have any expensive materials. You can create a prototype out of the things you have around you at school and home, like paper, pens, scissors, and sticky tape. So let's have a look at this video together that covers how to create a prototype on paper or with paper, so we can learn how to do that. Let's hope that this works. I'm going to play it. If it doesn't, please let me know. And I actually should have it here. Let's go for it.
Paper prototypes are a fast and cheap way to test ideas for products and services. As such, they are an integral part of the design thinking methodology. By showing paper prototypes in user interviews, you can get a better understanding of user needs and also use it as a basis to experiment on, during and after the interview. To start off, let's talk about commonly used materials. These include a pair of scissors, tape, glue stick, marker, post-its, and paper and cardboard in various colors. Let's say you want to test your newest business idea, a dog food delivery service. If, for example, you want to visualize an app or a website, you can start by drawing a simple interface. It doesn't matter if it looks crude. I actually recommend it, because that way users are encouraged to talk honestly about the concept itself. In contrast, a highly polished prototype draws the attention to details like button placement and color choice. People also tend to hold back their honest opinion because they do not want to devalue your fancy prototype you've obviously put so much work into. The same goes for physical objects like wearables. This technique is called wireframing and allows users to get a feel of your idea. Having a physical representation of the device helps to understand the implications of wearing it. Would I take it to work? Or wear it when doing sports? Services, on the other hand, are a different story since they are intangible. So try to pick out a part of the service experience you want to focus on. Let's say you want to host a convention for dog owners. One prototype could be a written invitation, another a program overview. Use these as a starting point in interviews. Here I am building a dog food shipping package. I can use it not only to test its content or size, but also the unpacking experience and whether the instructions are clear enough. To sum it up, while paper prototypes lack the functionality and detail of a traditional prototype, they are great for evaluating early concepts from a user perspective. They can be created and adapted very quickly, and in case users don't like them, simply discard them. That was my short overview of paper prototypes.
Great. So what did you think about the video? Sorry, I'm playing with my screens until I can come back. What do you think about the video? Hopefully that inspires you by showing you that creating a prototype should be
Paper
quick
prototypes are a fast and cheap
and
way
easy.
to
And I
test
knew it was
ideas
going
for
to play
products.
again. Sorry about that. So it's mainly, I was saying, it's a quick and easy way to create something, to show your idea to your potential customers. And what we saw in the video as well, you don't need expensive materials, right? You can just have a pair of scissors, paper, and you can create actually a prototype for any type of idea, whether it's a digital product like a website or app, a physical product, or even a service, as we saw in the video. So once you've decided on your business idea and made a prototype or model of it, the next step in the business planning process is to start doing research on the market you will be operating in. This brings us to the second section of today's webinars, which is all about market research. So we are going to play little games for this section because we like to ask you questions to define some words so that we can reinforce the key concepts behind market research. So I will be asking you to define 3 words and you will be able to vote via the poll on the screen. So the first one we are going to be defining, the main keywords, is about what is the market research. So let's see if I'm lucky at this time with the polls and I can actually launch it. And you can choose from the 3 options, what is it market research? Option number 1 is the process of gathering information about where you could sell your product or service. Option number 2, the process of gathering information about what consumers need and want. Or number 3, the process of gathering information about what customers are willing to pay for your product or service. I can see you are voting already. 1, 2, or 3. Let's start by agreeing the meaning of some keywords related to market research to get the foundations right, to get a good understanding of what we mean by what we say when we talk about market research. I can see being apparently number 2 is a winner so far, but we have 14%, the number 1. Can still see a few more people voting. Going to allow a few more minutes. 80% of you already voted, that's amazing. Oh, number 2 is tracking back now. Number 3 is showing up as the second one. What customers are willing to pay. This looks like a race. I love polls. Let's see who's the winner. Just one more second. I can see the majority of you already voted. So let's see, who's the second one. It's number 1 or number 3? There's a clear winner over there. So let's end the poll and share the results. So 73% of you who voted said that it's the process gathering information about what customers need and want. And yes, that's the right answer. So the answer was market research is a process of gathering information about what customers need and want. Finding out what your customers are willing to pay is indeed one aspect of market research, but overall market research is much broader than that. Just to be careful on the options, they can trick you. So let's go with the second one. Now we are going to choose a definition for target market. So let's go with that one, if I can do that. Stop share results, and let's go with number 2. Yes, there we are. So what is target market? Option number 1, the location where you plan to sell your product or service. Option number 2, a particular group of consumers which a product or service is aimed at. Whew, all of a sudden that one went to 100%. Or option number 3, what makes a product service different from others on the market? So what is target market? What do we mean by target market when we say that? Option number 1, 2, or 3. I can see again the majority of you voting already. Thank you. Option number 1 is running behind now, only 1 person voting for that one. Option number 2 is coming up as a winner, 84% so far of you said that that's the right answer. And option number 3, it's lagging a little bit behind, but it's still 12%. Okay, I can see the majority of you already voted, so let's go into end the poll and share the results. So 85%, as we were saying before, of you chose that the target market for you, target market is a particular group of consumers which a product service is aimed at, which is amazing because that's, again, the correct answer. So let me share with you on the screen. So your target market is the particular group of consumers which your product or service is aimed at. In this case, we are not talking about physical markets, the place where you will sell your product or service, but rather the market as a group of potential customers. The particular group of people you identify as being most likely to buy your product or service. It is your target market who you will be carrying out your market research with and promote your business to later on when you launch it, right? So target market research, you find out about wants and needs. Target market is a particular group of consumers you will be selling your product or service to. Let's go with the last one then, which I'm not sure whether to make you guess or not, but it's about what is your unique selling point? Let's go again with the third one. What is a unique selling point? Also referred as USP. Option number one, the different aspects of a product service which appeal to different type of customers. Option number two, the unique attributes of individual salespeople which helps them to make sales. Or option number three, what makes a product service different and better than others on the market? Which one do you think is a unique selling point? Option number 1, 2, or 3? I can see people doubting a little bit on this one. As we increase the questions, the complexity increases as well. And you might be thinking, it's number 2 again, right? Which one do you think, what is a unique selling point for you? I can see number 3 leading, but number 1 also got quite a large percentage. I'm going to allow a few more seconds for you to vote. What is a unique selling point? Majority of you voted already. Okay, great. Let's have a look at the results then. 85% of you chose option number 3, saying that a unique selling point is what makes a product service different and better than others on the market. And that's precisely correct. Your unique selling point, or USP, is what sets your business apart from the competition. It's the thing that makes your business different and better than everything else on the market. But don't worry, because we'll be coming back to this later on today's session. So let's recap on market research, target market, and unique selling point. Keywords to guide us through today's session in terms of the work we'll be doing around asking the right questions when doing your market research with your prototype to your target market to define your unique selling point. So let's get going. First, let's take a deeper look at market research. We know what is it, right? We said it's a process of gathering information about what customers need and want. And why is market research such an important part of a business planning process? There are different reasons, so let's have a look at them. It can help you decide whether your new business idea is viable, if people actually like it and are willing to buy it, to pay for it. It can also help you determine who and where your customers are. In other words, it can help you figure out your target market, the type of customers you will target when you launch your business. And it can also help you make decisions about all aspects of your business strategy, how much you will charge, what your packaging should look like, and how you should promote your business, just to name a few. So with those reasons, or with all that being said, what do you think are the risks of not carrying out market research? What might happen if you decide that your business idea is so great, you don't need to get any feedback on your idea from potential customers, and you can just go ahead and make your product and start selling it? Please share your answers in the chat. What do you think will happen if we don't carry out any market research? And I'm going to allow a few minutes. India, please chip in if you saw anything in the chat, because sometimes it's really hard to read all the messages. But what do you think will happen if we just think our idea is the best ever, doesn't need any validation, and we just go ahead and deliver our business plan and carry on our business as we thought it'll be? What are the risks if we don't do any carry? If we don't carry out any market research? Or saying your product may not be relevant and therefore no customers, right? As simple as that, no customers, no relevant product. Sangeeta says it might be a disaster, even leading to failed venture. Yes, doesn't sound like it's a path to be successful. Patiha says risk of losing money. Yes, money, time, resources, many things that we lose on the way. Wendy says you develop a product or service that does not serve anyone or cannot be sold, right? Again, as clear as that. Brinda, the purpose of starting a business might not be met. Exactly. My goals might not be achieved either. Jasmine mentioned risk. Instead, you will fail to provide the needs of the customers, let it becomes irrelevant. Exactly. So I'm not meeting anyone's needs, right? Sinat adds, you place yourself in a position of high risk, potentially lowering your probabilities of success. Yes. And we have success, failure, losing, like big words showing up, right? We can achieve our goal, we will lose the customers, we might not even have customers. Matthew, Sila adds, if there is no demand, you can't get anywhere, probably, right? So great point. So thank you very much, everyone, for sharing. Let me see if I'm missing any other. Adetola, we might not be accepted in the labor market. Yes, labor, customer, any market, right? If we don't validate that idea. Juliana, the product might not have customers or might already be available at a better price. Yep. Leads to paralysis, Emmanuel adds, not to have good business, Florinda says, we can achieve our goal. Exactly. Exactly. So to sum up, market research is all about gathering facts so that you can make good business decisions. If you don't carry out good market research, then your business strategy will be based on guesswork and assumptions. And that's a recipe for disaster. Some of you already mentioned in the chat. So in a moment, I'm going to put you into small breakout rooms to do an activity in small groups. But let's recap on how breakout rooms work before we do that. So you will be assigned to a breakout room and move there automatically. At the end of the activity, you will be automatically moved back to this main room. In the breakout room, and this is highly important, in the breakout room, remember to click those two buttons to turn on your mic and your camera if you like. You only get out of this webinar, remember this, what you put in. So we really, really encourage you to actively get involved in the conversation and experience this activity for yourselves as teachers before you do it with your students. If you need any assistance in the breakout room, you can always click on ask for help and then invite host, and either India or myself will jump in and assist you. But please only click this option if you need help, because we wouldn't like to jump in the middle of your discussion. One more thing that we like to bring in onto today's sessions, because we've been reading your feedback so far, and we understand that sometimes the groups are not as interactive as we all expect to. So if that's the case, and we hope that's not the case today, but that can still happen, If that's the case, you are welcome to type on the chat and we are going to relocate you to a more active group. If you really want to take part in the conversation, but unfortunately you are in a group that doesn't have any interaction at all, please let us know and we'll do our best to relocate you to a group where there is a conversation going on and where you can get the richness of today's session. Having said that, let's have a look at what the activity is about. So you will have 15 minutes for this activity. And you're going to be you're going to be working in groups of 6. So in your group, imagine your business idea is to produce and sell liquid soap. Okay? Business idea, produce and sell liquid soap. So we would like you to create a set of questions, we'll say up to 10 market research survey questions to help you understand your target customers' needs and wants and the gaps in the market. So you are going to work in your group of 6, coming up with at least a set of 10 market research survey questions to understand your target customers' needs and wants. And remember to think about how you can use your prototype in your market research, right? We covered right at the beginning of the session why it's important to prototype. So this is something that you can bring to your market research. As you are discussing and agreeing on what question to ask in your survey, think about how the type of questions you ask will influence the results you get. I will go again. Think about how the type of questions that you ask will influence the results that you get. So when I bring you back to the main room after the 15 minutes, I will invite some of you to share what market research questions you decided on and why you chose them. So please make sure to nominate someone in your group to take notes. That's pretty important, either live or in the chat. We would like everyone to bring in their questions and share them with the rest of the audience. So if we are all ready for this, let me quickly play with the numbers on how many breakout rooms we will need today. Because this is live television, right? This is all happen right now. So I say you're going to have 15 minutes to work in groups of 6. So if we are ready, off you go, and I see you back in 15 minutes. Amazing. Welcome back, everyone. I can see they are all back in the main room. So I'm interested to hear what market research questions you came up with in your groups. So I will ask your note takers to please share their questions in the chat. My colleague India is kindly going to put it all together in a document that we can share with you as if on our follow-up email. So if you can please share in the chat, the note takers, those market research questions. And would anyone like to turn on the microphone and camera and share the questions you decided on live? You are welcome to today. We can allow 1 or 2 people to do that. So do we have any volunteer? For raise. And let me see if I can assist you. Yes, hello.
Okay, hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. It's Paul from group 5. In our group, we started off by saying that the profile of the customers is important, like their age and gender, and if they are employed or not, and if they are from a rural area or urban area. That is very important for us. And then we went on to discuss about the product itself, what color they think is best that we can use, and the fragrance, if they prefer it to have a fragrance, and okay, and then the usage, the ingredients they may prefer that we include, and if there's any product or ingredient that they are allergic to, and how often do they think they use. And also, if I can mention, we said that, you know, because the exercise, it says that, you know, the liquid soap. So we said that for us to be able to focus and have, like, you know, these questions, we need to decide what kind of soap, and then we said hand washing liquid soap, so that we can be able to have the questions, you know, that we want to ask. So how often they think they will use the product or the soap, and then the price range that they prefer, and also in terms of like the products or in the ingredients that will include in there, we need to know where they will be using this soap, for example, in an office or at school where you have many people, or at church or at home, so that we can be able to know, you know, the concentration of the product itself. And then the containers that, you know, they will prefer, if they want it, you know, to be dispensed or to use a nozzle or a screw top. And then also the type of packaging that they will prefer. And then if they know of any like special selling points where we can sell this product, and also if they have any ideas in terms of reaching other customers and promote this product. So it's about that. So guys, if I've left out anything, you can help me, but basically that's what
I think you covered it all from all the groups. So
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And they all your questions from your group sound very insightful, like there were key things, ingredients, packaging, and how you started with demographics and location. Yeah, it sounds like you covered it all. So thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for volunteering. And
Okay,
let me
thanks.
quickly have a look at the chat. So I'm aware of the time. I was just telling India before you all came back, I'm aware of the time today. So let's have a look at the chat. I can see Sina sharing her group questions. Thank you very much. Jasmine is adding quality of material, if it's affordable, if it's protective for skin. How often do you use liquid soap? Room 1, bean shares. How often, right? Like, and again, remember the second point on this activity. Think about the type of questions that will guide you to the answers that you're looking for. Are you happy with the quality of liquid soap available? Is another of the questions. Amazing, and a few more share on the chat. As we said before, usually with all the activities that we run on these sessions, we like them to have them available to you as well. So if you continue sharing, we're going to put it all together in a document so you can always come back to and grab some ideas. So thank you everyone for sharing, and I'm sure a lot of groups will have come up with similar questions or a few others again, and you are welcome to share them in the chat. So the reason we wanted to do this activity and get you to come up with your own market research questions is because it's really important that you design your market research questions based on your product or service and what you want to find out about your target customers. So we encourage you to get your students to write their own market research questions instead of you giving them a list of questions and off they go to ask them. However, there are some broad categories of questions your students should make sure to include in their research. So let's have a look at them. And some of you already mentioned this. There's something around demographic questions, as Fo was sharing, and that's, for example, in terms of age, range, and gender. Then there are questions to get feedback on your business idea. This is where your prototype comes into play. Your students can show their prototype to potential customers and find out whether the customers would buy it or if it needs changing in any way. Then there are also questions about your target customers' current usage and buying habits. For example, following the example of liquid soap from the activity, which brand they buy currently, how often do they use and buy it, which factors are most important to them when deciding which type of soap to buy and where from. Is it price? Is it quality? What factors determine their buying power? There's another one on there are questions to elicit information about your competitors, what your target customers like and dislike about their current supplier, and if they have any needs which aren't currently being met. For example, if they would like home delivery or their ability to purchase online or to customize the product in some way. So again, these are different type of market research questions that your students can come up with their own questions by considering the different categories. As you might have thought about it in the activity when you were thinking of market research questions, as a group, different type of questions will give you different types of information. Again, these might seem or sound pretty obvious, and yet we might not be thinking about this. Different type of questions will give you different types of information. And you might know that closed questions with a yes or no answer and demographic questions will give you students statistical data which they can analyze and use to inform their marketing strategy. For example, it could tell them that women aged 30, 40 are most interested in buying their product, so they can tailor the promotion to try to target that type of audience, right? Those are closed questions, and demographic can gives you statistical data. And then we have open questions, give customers the opportunity to express their opinion more freely in their own words. This can also give you valuable information when it comes to marketing and selling your product. For example, asking your customers, what would make you consider buying from us can help you to identify your unique selling point. Why would you buy from us and not from somebody else? And again, that will help you identify your unique selling point. And you are looking into those honest opinions through asking open questions to understand those wants and needs from your customers, from your target market. And of course, successful market research is not just about asking questions, right? Or thinking about what kind of questions you ask. So we wanted to share some other tips and tricks to help your students conduct effective market research. So we recommend you ask a wide range of people, at least 20. Try to target real potential customers. For example, people in the market where you think you will sell your product or service, not only your friends and family. Yes, they are close to you, but they are not necessarily part of your target market. The more people you speak to, the better your market research insights will be. Another one to keep in mind, prepare beforehand. You can practice your questions with your friends and family so that you are confident when you speak to your customers. Also check that your questions are clear, unbiased, and will lead you to useful information. By this, we mean you should start your survey with simpler questions to avoid leading your market research and setting it up to limit the answers to the only ones you want to hear. And we are going to give you an example. If your business idea is waterproof bags, you would first ask what sort of bags the person already uses. And you could then ask, would you be prepared to pay more for a bag that is waterproof? That is probably a better way than assuming that the person you're interviewing will want to buy your waterproof bag, showing them your prototype and asking them straight away, which of these colors of waterproof bag do you prefer? Remember what we said before, it's not about assumption or guesswork. It's more about finding out from your potential customers themselves, what is it that they would prefer? So framing your questions in an unbiased way will help you to be sure that there is a fundamental demand for your product or service, that your market, that your product service or service is actually needed or wanted. before you explore the details on how you'll do that, such as color or flavor or whatever, any other detail that you like to find out about. So this will bring us to the end of this section on the webinar, which is the second one on market research. And we know that some of you here today have been taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge before or for many years already, and will be familiar already with this process of carrying out market research. So we would like to leave a space for any of you who had experience before to share how was that experience? How was the experience like with your students? Have you supported your students to carry out market research before? And if so, would you like to tell us about how it went with your students and any tips that we haven't covered today that you think is important to share with other teachers? I'm going to allow just a few moments for any of you, if you like to raise your hand and share if you've done this activity before with your students. How was the experience? Is there any tip left that you like to share with any of the teachers today? Do we have any volunteer? You are welcome to share in the chat box as well. Okay. As I said before, I'm aware of the time. We are going to leave the window open to come back to if you like to share later on, so we can move on to our next activity. So up until now, we have been discussing on how to carry out market research about your business idea with your target market. But unless you have a very unique business idea, it is likely that there is another business or a lot of businesses who are already offering the same or a very similar product or service. These businesses are your competitors, the people who sell the same or a similar product or service as you. So we are going to do another activity in breakout rooms, but in smaller groups again. I'm going to shorten the time because I'm aware of the time at the moment. So rather than 15 minutes, I'm going to give you 12 minutes. And we would like you to think about how you could discover information about your competitors. So this is a two-part question. The first one is, what do you need to know about your competitors and why? What do you need to know about your competitors and why? And the second one is, how could you get that information? So what is it that you like to know and why? And how can you get that information? And remember to get someone to make notes, as I will invite you to share your answers when you return. To make it easier, we are going to give you an example to get you started. So you would need to know how much your competitor charge for the product or service so that you can decide how to price your product or service competitively. So you can find out what your competitors charge by visiting their shops, for example, and looking at the prices or going on their website if they have one. So if you like to find out about the price your competitors are charging for a similar product or service that you'll be selling, you can either go online or visit their shop and browse around to check their prices. That was just an example. Remember, it's a two-part question. What kind of information you will need and why, and how you can get that information. So I'm going to give you 12 minutes to work on those two questions in your small groups and see what you come up with. What else do you need to know about your competitors, aside for the price, which is the example that we gave you, and how could you find out that information? And remember to take notes so then we can share, when you're back from the room, your insights. So let's go again. We are going to try to mix things up. Let's see if we can do that. Apparently I cannot. So let me just do this. Okay, There we are. So 2 questions, what kind of information? And then how do we come about finding it? I'll see you back in 12, 11-ish minutes. I can see everyone joining back. So welcome back, everyone. How did you find that activity? I'm interested to hear from one of you what you came up with. If you'd like to share live, unmuting yourself, or the rest of the groups, please do share in the chat. Who would like to share what you came up with? How did you find the activity?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Nature.
Yes, we can hear you.
So me and my group. Pardon?
Yeah, no, go on. I was just saying we can hear you.
Okay. So me and my group, what we have came across or what we have discussed about what do we need to know? We have pointed this point that we need to know about our competitors, about their pricing of their product. Why are they selecting that kind of price to that kind of maybe to certain customers? So we need to invigilate ourselves or to be familiar as ourselves as we're going to price our own price. We have to put a certain price that we're going to beat them no matter what. So a second point is where we need to know how they interact with their clients, how they produce, how they collaborate with the clients or make the clients happy about their product. Even if maybe providing promotions, how they do it, what do they give in order to attract a client to keep coming. So we have to know about those kind of stuff in order for us to do it better or do it maybe in a similar way. So in order for us to attract those kind of customers. So my team will include some points if maybe I miss some because I didn't write them down. So I will say in point 2, how could you get that information? We going to get information as a potential clients. We're going to work there as a client to them because we cannot expose ourselves. We're going to put ourselves in a high risk as if we do so. We have to in disguise going there inside, know exactly what we're going to select in their product as we want to compare and see and feel it what is happening in their shop. So I hope my team will put some more points.
Great, amazing, thank you. Yeah, I think I was thinking about this being in disguise. They might not even know who you are, right? So let's not get, it's usually the same with business idea. We tend to think like it's such a unique business idea, we shouldn't share it with anyone because what if they copy it? And it doesn't work like that. So yeah, I like the idea. Definitely go into the shop. It's an eye-opening experience in order to find out more about that interaction with customers that you mentioned at the beginning. What is it? What is it that they do that the customer like, and how can we learn from them, and what can we do differently or better? Thank you very much for sharing. I can see a little bit more sharings on the chat. So thank you very much. There are different things about gathering reviews from online shopping, survey from user websites as well. It's important to know, Florinda says, how long competitors have been in the market. Definitely, right? Like there's so much information available that we don't know of. So it's kind of a buffet thing, pick and choose, right? Like, but we need to be clear. We need to be clear on what is it that we like to know, how can we get that, and why do we want to know that? So then we can target and focus on gathering that information. Amazing. Thank you everyone for sharing the chat. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm going to carry on now. But as we said before, we are going to share all your insights on our follow-up email as well. So you can see as well that you came up with lots of creative ways on how your students and yourself could collect information about your competitors. So we can mainly think about three main categories, or group things into three main categories. We're looking into kind of data that we like to look for or investigate further on competitors. So one is the recorded data, and that is information that's most easily accessible in published forms, for example, product brochures or annual reports, and or whatever they have on the website, right? And it's possible that only large competitors will have this, but yet nowadays this kind of information is available everywhere if we know what we are looking to find. Then another set of data or another category could be observable data. And this is information that your competitors make obvious, right? So the best examples of this would be your competitors' pricing or promotion and advertising. Pretty obvious what they do. It's in front of our eyes, so we cannot miss it. And the last one is called opportunistic data. And this is what comes from discussions you have with people who are connected to both you and your competitors, for example, customers. So we can categorize this finding about this interaction and relationship with customers under opportunistic data. And an individual piece of just one of these type of data isn't very useful on its own, right? So the real skill is for your students to gather as many pieces of the jigsaw as they can to paint a picture of their competitors' strengths and weaknesses, which will help you to show where your business can stand out, right? And strengths and weaknesses came up on the chat as well as one of the groups shared the insights. So to help your students organize all this information, it's a good idea to use a table. So you can ask the same research questions about several competitors and then compare the results to see where your business will fit in and how it could stand out. So in the School Enterprise Challenge Business Guide number 5, you will find a blank competitor analysis table and a completed example to refer to. So I'm afraid we don't have time to go through that together into detail, but you can find lots more information about what we discussed today, market research and competitor analysis, and tips on how to replicate these activities with your students in the School Enterprise Challenge Business Guides. That being said, I'm going to quickly run through what the School Enterprise Challenge is, just to invite you once again to register, because the registrations have been extended until August the 21st. So today is the day where we like to welcome you to take part in the program. So the School Enterprise Challenge is our award-winning experiential learning program, which will guide you as teachers to support your students to come up with a business idea, create a business plan, and launch and run their businesses. So students become young entrepreneurs selling real products or services to real people. Our educational resources, as the business guide that we've shown before, are going to support you as teachers to guide your students the whole way through the process. And through the program, your students will develop key life skills such as communication, problem solving, and leadership. As a reminder, it's completely free to take part. And this year we introduced a lot of exciting new features to offer you the best support possible, whatever your circumstances are. So remember, you can always find out more about the School Enterprise Challenge on this website, www.schoolenterprisechallenge.org. And again, registrations have been extended due to popular demand until August the 21st. That means you still have a few more weeks to join us, but we really like to welcome you today. Why wait, right? So I'm probably going to quickly run through this reflection question. You know, on this webinar series in 2021, we really want you to take a pause in a way and think about everything that we cover through the session and think about what is the one thing that you'll do with all these. So you're welcome to share in the chat. We have quite a similar question on the survey, so feel free to do that on the survey if you need to leave the session in the next couple of minutes. So before you do so, I'm going to make sure that you have the link to the survey so you can actually get your certificate of attendance. So quickly, in terms of useful resources, there's not such a better resource than our program, the School Enterprise Challenge, and that's everything you can get for free, as we said before. And that will include business guides for teachers, worksheet for students, and videos of other students, business team in action. If you got inspired last week by that Q&A, come and join us in the program because there's plenty of other videos that can get you inspired with teachers and students showing and learning from their work. So stay connected with us. Everything is going to be shared on the slides. So I'm going to quickly go to the survey. So feedback for us is key. We read your feedback every time we finish a session so we can actually improve and get better on the next one. So we appreciate if you can please take only 5 minutes of your time to fill in the survey. My colleague India is going to share the link in the chat so you can actually do that right now with everything fresh in your mind, and then you can get your certificate of attendance. So please do clicking on the survey, just take 5 minutes and then you get your certificate. And that will be it for today. We hope you enjoy your session today and we hope you find it useful and insightful. And this was the 6th webinar in the series in 2021. So our next webinar is going to be in 2 weeks' time. Webinar number 7 is coming on Tuesday, the 10th of August at 2 p.m. British Summer Time, and again on Thursday, 12th of August already at 4 p.m. British Summer Time. So you can find the links to register to those 2 webinars on our social media channel. So make sure to stay connected with us to stay up to date. So we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. And remember that Thursday this week at 4 p.m. British Summer Time, we are going to be running the same session again. So you're welcome to invite any of your colleagues who you think will benefit from today's session to come and join us on Thursday. Having said that, I will apologize for running over 5 minutes. And I would say once again, thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm going to stay here for a few more minutes. If you need to go, thank you once again. We hope to see you again. Thank you.